a lot of veterans who are locked up right now, we tend to pay attention a lot to the suicide numbers because that grabs headlines, but there's veterans that die of drug overdoses, motorcycle crashes, drunk driving accidents, veterans that are locked up for the rest of their lives.
I was a prison guard for 2 years, and I remember there was a dude who had a special forces tattoo, and I did treat that dude with a little bit more respect. You know what I mean? As in, like, just like, how you doing today, brother?
I find writing to be incredibly helpful for me. It helps me think. And that's why I try and encourage veterans to write more and tell their stories.
There's a lot of ways you can have a therapeutic response. And for some reason, modern medicine just continues to fucking put people in this box and say, come sit in my chair and talk to me. And I'm like, fuck you. I'm done with that shit.
What I tell veterans is like retiring abroad means you can just retire early. In America, if you want to be part of that like mythical 1% of the world, you have to make $700,000 a year or more.
I've been on a mission to help with the veteran community as well. But like, for a long time, it was just social media. But one thing that always sat with me is like, when the laughter's gone, did we really help them? And I knew for a fact we didn't, right? We were a distraction.
Welcome to the Vinny Roc Podcast.
I took the blows and did it my way.
It's time. The Vinny Roc Podcast.
So when my daughters text me, I had to respond. She, so my podcast is not like everyone else's. I don't give a fuck. I live a real life. My kids are here. They might intrude on me talking, so it's all good.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine with me. I'm with it.
Yeah, most of these motherfuckers are too professional to fucking have a real life, I guess. But I just have shit going on.
You can't have a veteran podcast without a little bit of cursing. That's one of the things I struggled with when I became a civilian. Is I'll go to college and I cannot have a conversation, especially, come from combat arms. I can't even talk without cursing. And that was such a struggle. It's one of the things I struggled with.
Bro, my kids go to a private school, and a lot of those people think they're fucking above everyone else, I guess. I don't fucking know.
I was the most tatted up dude at Harvard, walking around, riding a Harley, all that stuff. And I didn't fit in for 1 second.
Well, I thought that was dope. I read on your bio, but real quick, let me just hit these my sponsors real quick. First Form. Actually, they're not really a sponsor; they're just friends of mine, and so I like to mention them. Yeah, it's weird how to call that a sponsor. They don't pay me or anything. I just use the supplements and I like them. So, but Core Medical Group is a testosterone replacement therapy company, and so I've been working with them for about 6 years, guiding a lot of people to that direction. Essentially, guiding a lot of men to go get their blood work done. That's really what I'm an advocate for. If it says you need some hormones, well then, they'll help you with it, but for me, it's like part of the mental health struggle for a lot of people. To me, it starts with getting blood work done and understanding your hormones first. And so Core Medical Group, you guys go check them out if you're interested. If you have any questions on how to get a hold of them, hit me up. You can hit them up on social media as well. Grimblades.com, American made blades, dude, straight razors on Instagram. If you guys are looking at what kind of product they have, I'll get some up here. So next time I do it, I can show you, but good products, good people, good company. I support them. Why not? And the last is going to be Modern Gun School. If you guys are interested in learning more about how to be in armor for any kind of weapons, any kind of guns, our Modern Gun School offers you an opportunity to use your GI Bill or your vocational rehab so that you can get it paid for free and work at the comfort of your own home, learning how to be in armor at your house, man. So it's a good company. We love them. You guys go check them out. And, all my stuff we'll talk about later. But, dude, John, you want me to call you John or John David?
John, just John.
Just John. Okay, it's not one of those crazy John David names. I got a buddy who's something like that. So good.
No.
Dude, first, you've been popping up on my social media. Do you run targeted ads?
Yeah. I put about like $100 on each post. So that's what I'll do. I'll do like a post about living abroad, and I'll go ahead and put like 50 or $100 on it, and it helps just kind of expand it out a little bit. Because when I was first doing it, I kept getting my stuff like taken down by Instagram and everything because I was in Colombia talking about veteran benefits in Colombia, because you can get VA funded healthcare in Medellin in Colombia. A lot of people don't know that stuff. A lot of people don't know you can receive your VA benefits abroad.
Well, this is what we're going to talk about, bro. This is what we're going to talk about.
I mean, that's what it is. So I got into it, kind of exploded into it, just kind of on accident at first, because I just happened to live abroad. Like, that's because why wouldn't I? You know, I have no wife, no kids, no problems. I'm a single dude. Why would I live in the United States when I can take my money and have a way higher quality of life anywhere else in the world?
So let's talk about, I want to talk about the Harvard thing as well later on. So don't let me forget that. But you popped up on my social media and just a veteran talking about living abroad. And I was like, oh shit, this is kind of interesting. Who is this motherfucker? Right. And you just kept popping up, dude. And so then I watched a few of the videos and I'm like, man, that's interesting. I have no problems with it, right? But I just thought it was a really cool, fresh, new thing that I'm finally seeing on social media instead of the same old thing. And it made me very curious. And so I had my team reach out to you and see if you were interested. And here we have you. What was it that took you overseas in the first place, or took you out of country?
First, my first experience was teaching English in Thailand. So I started teaching English in Thailand when I finished up college. I first went to be a teacher in the United States, and I'm getting cursed at by 7th graders. And this was just when I just fresh out the infantry, and I got some 8th grade kid cursing at me or whatever. I'm like, I'm going to beat the shit out of this fucking kid. I can't do it. So I go to Thailand on a teacher program. I start teaching there, and the kids bow to you. And there, they hit kids in the classroom too. I don't hit them, but the other teachers, like if the kids aren't paying attention, I'd be smacking them with rulers and stuff. So it's such a cultural thing, and they respect teachers in a way there, like we respect like doctors and lawyers and those types of things. Yeah. So I never, if I hand out homework, every single kid's going to do the homework. They're very educational focused, and there's very respectful culture, which kind of I appreciate it come from the military, because when I was trying to teach in like a normal school, it just didn't work. And my first apartment in Thailand, I lived in a gorgeous high-rise apartment, the nicest apartment I've ever lived in my entire life. Rooftop pool, nice gym in there, next to nightlife, restaurants, all that for $300 a month. So I have my military retirement, and I have, my money from writing and a property I have in the States and those types of things. So I'm living this kind of like millionaire style life in Thailand, just living the dream. And that's kind of what led me to talking about veterans living abroad. When I got here to Dominican Republic, when I moved here during COVID, DR was like the only country accepting people during COVID. And all my PTSD symptoms like diminished. Like they went from up here all the way down to here. Like, and I used to, I struggled with PTSD. I've struggled with alcoholism. I've struggled with migraines, nightmares, all those types of things, that people who have been through what we've been through struggle with. And when I got here, everything was less. I stopped getting migraines. I started sleeping through the night. I stopped kind of feeling anxious. I started to like fall in love with life again, kind of like I feel like a kid. Eventually, I came off the PTSD medication that I had been on since like my second deployment in like 2013. And I started living this really high quality life. And that's what led me to be like, well, I have to talk to my veterans, brothers and sisters about this is an option. And like you said earlier, I'm not like, hey, everyone should move abroad. Obviously, that would be terrible. But for a small number of veterans, like especially kind of if you're single, you can live a higher quality life at half the price in other countries.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, dude, to think about it. So I don't really go out of the country too often, but we do go to Puerto Rico at times, and at times it feels like you're out of the country, right? Because Puerto Rico. It feels like you're out of the country at times. Yeah. But
it's
just
still island life.
That's what I'm saying. That island life that I partake in probably twice a year is the most relaxing time of my life. I told my wife, this is when I feel the most. I'm at the most at ease when I'm there. I eat the local food. I hang out in the beaches all the time. It's a very low stress environment for me, and we're with family, and it's just a really cool feel. And so I enjoy being on that kind of situation. And we spent some time in the Bahamas, me and my wife, and that was another place where we were like, man, this just feels good. And like all my memories of like calmness and peace and vacations has always been some kind of island feel. Yeah. And so I watched a lot of your videos and I'm like, man, that looks like a good spot, dude. And it's a trip, bro. But so you already get your veteran benefits, and then as well as, so you got a bachelor's degree right now in teaching?
I have a bachelor's in teaching and a master's from Harvard in international education. Yeah.
So that's badass. So that really that helps you becoming a teacher other countries.
Oh yeah. I have all like those certifications and things like that. I'm not teaching right now, but I'm certified to teach, anywhere in the world.
What are you doing right now in Dominican Republic?
Man, I'm hanging out, scuba diving, drinking beer. I work with the youth boxing program here, volunteering, doing a lot. I'm basically doing whatever I want to do, and I think that's for the first time in my life, like what I'm able to do now is what I want. The American dream, I think we've always painted it as like a big house, a nice car, and all those things. I live in a small 1-bedroom apartment for $500 a month, and my days are filled with the things that I want to do because I'm not rushing off to work. In America, we're so concerned with time, we kind of fucked up the balance of our lives. There should be a balance between work, leisure, and recreation. In the United States, it feels like you're just doing a never-ending to-do list. All my friends, it kind of seems like that's what they're doing, running from here to here to here. Here, I don't really set an alarm clock. I wake up when I want. I do what I want, because what I tell veterans is like retiring abroad means you can just retire early. In America, if you want to be part of that like mythical 1% of the world, you have to make, or mythical 1% of income earners, you have to make $700,000 a year or more. But to be in the global 1%, you have to make less than 10% of that. If you make more than $60,000 a year, you're in the global 1% of earners in the entire world. So if you're a veteran and say you're rated 100% from the Veterans Administration, you can be in like the bottom 25% of America, or you can be a top 1%er in the Philippines. And that's why there's a VA in the Philippines. That's why the Philippines has like 30,000 veterans that live there, because you can live a much higher quality life and not have the stress of America. Because like you mentioned, with things like the food, I mean, America is not a physically or mentally healthy country. There's a huge men's mental health crisis. That's why I'm glad you mentioned the TRT thing, because I think that, like, the downfall of testosterone also was like the start of the men's mental health crisis.
Yeah, I agree. It's an interesting thing with TRT. I was just talking to my wife about it, that we have to get to a point where we're not supplementing TRT, and that's going to come with how we change our diet and how we change our lifestyle, and then all the things in America. Like, there's a lot of things leading to why we have low T nowadays, but it's going to take almost a whole generation of shifting and changing things in America to change that for my sons. You know what I mean? So it's a crazy time. Where also, because of combat, there's a lot of reasons why they say men are having low T issues more now than ever. But I think a lot of it is considered diet and kind of environment around us. And so very interesting stuff. But that's where, like, in the men's group I run, we have about 20, 30 dudes in there, and everybody gets their blood work checked just for the fact of, like, let's get a good baseline of where you're at. Some people can run a good life on a low T, right? It's their low. Their low is actually their average, whatever. What the average low is their average, and it's okay. But not everyone. And so I think it's really important to understand that baseline for dudes.
Yeah, and there's lots that you can do naturally to raise it, obviously. But I think stress is the big one. And you touched on environment, like you talking about how when you're on vacation in Puerto Rico, it's like your entire persona is different. You're more relaxed. You're taking deep breaths. You're living in the moment. You're being more grateful. And that's what coming here really taught me, a lot of those invaluable lessons. Just be like really thankful, like really happy and thankful to be alive. To, I'll go out. And it's funny, like last night, me and my friend were, we had this veteran event for Veterans Day last week. We went out and we're watching the sunset together. Just two infantry guys watch the sunset together, hanging out. You can really relax like that here, where in America, it's like there's no relaxing happening. And we're like laughing at each other because we're like having a cup of ice cream, watching the sunset together. It's like, this is a little fruity, but we're doing it.
Yeah, it's good though. It's good. That's healthy, man. Well, I saw on your handle on Instagram, it says John David Writer. Talk to me about some of your writing.
Yeah, so I first started my advocacy with student veterans. That was kind of my inroad into the veteran community. because we have two distinct groups of people in the military across all the branches. It's the exact same, and people don't really realize how big of a difference this makes. You have officers and you have enlisted, and officers and enlisted people have access to the same benefits, but have drastically different outcomes when they leave service. Enlisted people like us, we're more likely to be poor. We're more likely to be addicted. We're more likely to be homeless. We struggle more with PTSD. We get divorced more. We're alcoholics more. And most importantly, we kill ourselves way more than officers do. And the big difference between military, enlisted and officers is the college degree. So I started working to encourage more student veterans to not only to go to school, veterans to go to school to use a GI Bill, but also to have the skills and the abilities to be able to graduate. Because when I was 19, I dropped out of community college and joined the Army, like a lot of us did or whatever. I was far more interested in like girls and alcohol than like going to class. And on the backside of getting out of the military, I ended up going to Harvard because I understood, okay, school is actually not that hard. You just do what you do in the military. You do exactly what they tell you. If they tell you read this, study this, you do that. So I started working with student veterans. I wrote my first book, Combat to College, which describes veterans how to use their military mentality in the classroom. Little things like being on time. I mean, that's something you can always do. So those things are kind of uncoachable. And then I ended up speaking to Congress, which is one of the reasons why I moved abroad, because I had such a bad experience trying to get into that political world. I worked as a legislative fellow for the Veterans of Foreign Wars and the Student Veterans of America to try to get more employment opportunities for student veterans.
Nice. I love that. And you've written multiple books?
Yep. So my latest one is this 365 Days of Veteran Affirmations. I think as veterans, we tend to have like dark humor, embrace the suck, a negative outlook on everything. So what I did is I took military language, creeds, culture, and I wrote an affirmation, a positive affirmation for every day of the year from January 1st to December 31st with kind of our military stuff baked into it. Just so, every day you have something positive you can say, and I took a lot of stuff from like the Ranger Creed, from like the Marine Corps stuff. So it's kind of language that resonates with us. So yeah, so I find writing to be incredibly helpful for me. It helps me think. And that's why I try and encourage veterans to write more and tell their stories, or even like come on podcasts like this, because there's so many veterans that don't benefit from traditional therapy. There's so many benefits of writing and doing things like TRT and exploring nature and, all these different options for improving your mental health when we're stuck in the VA system that obviously is not giving us whatever it is we need, because it's not happening.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny you say that, man, because I've been on a mission, to help with the veteran community as well. But like for a long time, it was just social media, which you probably followed my social media early on or see me through like the humor crap and all that shit, which is dope. But like one thing that always sat with me is like, when the laughter's gone, did we really help them? And I knew for a fact we didn't, right? We were a distraction. Like make them laugh and then they go back to their sadness, because we never guided people to healing. We never showed them the different therapeutic values of simple shit, like you just said, sports, community, doesn't matter. Like a long list of different things we could be guiding dudes toward, but we didn't. What my group of friends did, we guided people towards drinking, which inevitably led a lot of people to also suicide. And so it was good intentions, but it didn't really pan out the way we really wanted to, right? We didn't think long game in this. We created a drinking culture that followed us and loved it and was like, yeah, this is great. But those who in the shadows were suffering, we enabled them to essentially, I would assume several people that committed suicide in our circle was due in part because, we were just enablers of the drinking kind of culture.
Yeah. And you see the taking the shots, and you don't see the hangover the next day. You don't see what they're struggling with when they wake up. You don't see how that affects relationships. We don't know what people, yeah. And that bothered me, man. And so I am finishing up my master's in psychology right now. I have one more class and that's done. And I enrolled in another college to get my counseling degree so I can be a counselor.
I want to be a counselor for mental health, but also for addictions, for drugs and addictions. I want to get that certification too, because both of those are very close to the veteran community. And, you know, I'm doing different studies to try and help find alternative approaches to counseling, because I don't want to be a counselor so you can sit and fucking talk to me. I want to be a counselor so you say, hey, join me on this. No, I want to be a counselor where it's like, join me at the gym. Let's go fucking work out. And then maybe let's spar and we'll do some jiu-jitsu and let's just fucking bro out, right? Because there is a therapeutic response to being able to communicate with someone freely and openly, just like you would a counselor, but in an environment that you're comfortable in. And if it's sparring, let's go. If it's hitting a baseball, let's go. If it's walking in a hike, let's do it. There's a lot of ways you can have a therapeutic response. And for some reason, modern medicine just continues to fucking put people in this box and say, come sit in my chair and talk to me. And I'm like, fuck you. I'm done with that shit. Yeah. And so we have to be like those who kind of step out and lead from the front in that aspect, right? Another Ranger term is I want to be a counselor so I can guide people to do counseling in a different manner. Like, where are you comfortable at? I'll join you in your world and let's walk together in this journey, right? And so that's how I have been introducing people to different modalities. But now I want to be the practitioner who's actually certified in doing that as well now. And so I've gone down a very similar path. And so the cool thing is that your last book you just said, the positive affirmations, I was looking for it while you were talking. I can't find it. If you could send me a link, I'd love to buy one.
Yeah, it's on Amazon and all that stuff on my website, but definitely. Yeah.
We'll plug your website later and just text me your website so I can snag one either way. Mm-hmm. But the part of the psychology I do is why I created Veteran is a positive psychology, right? Too much silly negative shit out there in our worlds. We're not giving people a place of like some positive affirmations, like you said. And I think it's super, super dope. I had no idea you had that book, because if I did, I would have bought that freaking when it came out.
That's all good. I appreciate anyone buying anything I do ever. It was just always nice. But I think that you're spot on with the therapy aspect. And that's why I think there's a lot more veterans that would benefit more from a more coaching approach than a therapeutic approach.
Yeah.
Because a lot of it is like when I was working with student veterans, it was always kind of like, okay, well, your problems might not be as mental health related as you think. They might be more life related. If you start improving your life, your problems are going to find their way kind of diminishing or leaving. If you improve, there's so many things that you can do to improve your life that'll improve your mental health. And there's little things like the moving abroad stuff that I talk to people about, is that financial health is mental health. Like if you are constantly, if you look at veterans, if you are constantly stressed about the bills, you look at veteran suicide, if you look at veterans that are stacking up credit card debt, if you're looking at struggling to get ahead, especially enlisted veterans, financial problems are always kind of like in there with the veteran mental health and suicide stuff.
Absolutely.
So
it's always.
Yeah. But that's why, you got two main ways of improving your financial situation. One, you can make more money, or two, you can spend less, or you can just move abroad and live in an environment that costs a lot less on your current benefits. Because there's I have a veteran friend who just retired from the military and moved here. He's 37. He did 20 years, joined when he was 17, and now he never has to work again for a day in his life. He bought a nice condo on the beach. He's going to be scuba diving, doing martial arts, all that stuff. So there's so many options that I think that veterans don't know about. They don't know that you can receive the healthcare abroad. They don't know you can get your military benefits abroad. Because who's going to tell you that? No one's going to tell you that.
Yeah, you hear about it like in movies, some white dude who lives in a weird country, all of a sudden, Rambo or some shit. That's what you hear about it. Right? You hear about it. But like, you don't really hear about it now in modern times as someone who's like, talking about it publicly, like you're doing with social media. And like I said, dude, your name has crossed my social media multiple times, and I just started hitting these videos of the living abroad, and I watched a few and I was like, oh, that's fucking cool. I don't have that ability. Well, I do if I wanted to. I guess I could. I'd have to move all my kids and all that shit, but it's a little harder for me. But it's really cool to hear that. Yeah. But I have a buddy who does filming.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead. And sorry for those who are listening, we have a delay because he's in Dominican Republic, and so it's we have a couple second delay between us, and so please bear with us. But the film industry has moved to the Philippines, and also where is it? Another
Vin
place.
Diesel's building a studio by my house.
Yeah, that's
Vin
what I'm saying. A
Diesel's
lot of
building
people
a
are
big studio
using,
here because you can shoot films for so much cheaper. Like Mark Wahlberg just did that movie here, and there's a few others that shoot in Dominican Republic because you can obviously it's a lot cheaper than producing in California, which I know you worked in that when it's just like it's way more expensive.
That's exactly it. The same reasons why you're advocating to live abroad is the same reasons why a lot of film and television is moving there too. The cost of living. My buddy lives in this beautiful flat. It's gorgeous, and I showed my wife hey man, this is a good idea. We might have to jump over here for some film.
Yeah,
she wasn't too happy about it.
The American dream for my mother was to retire in Florida. I grew up in Iowa, so she's retire in Florida. But now even that's gotten too expensive for your normal middle class person to afford. But you can absolutely buy a house in Costa Rica or here in the Dominican Republic or somewhere else, and the taxes are non-existent here because the taxes in the United States are just fucking insane. When I owned a house in New York, I'm paying $15,000 a year in just taxes. And you own a house here in Dominican Republic, you basically own it. You pay a couple $100 a year, and there's not going to be anything like that.
Damn. Is there a lot of Americans out there right now with you?
Yeah. So here in Dominican Republic, we have about 15 to 20,000 veterans that live full time on the island, and we have veteran centers. We had Veterans Day Gala a few days ago for Veterans Day, and we have centers set up that we get our healthcare. So I'm within walking distance of a healthcare center that provides better quality care than the VA in the United States. So the foreign medical program of the VA is how service-connected veterans get their healthcare abroad. So you have to do it for a service-connected veteran. So for me, I'm 100%. So I go to the clinic or pharmacy or whatever, I pay nothing out of pocket, and they bill the Veterans Administration in the United States. So a lot of people are just I didn't know you could do that. And that's what I started talking to people, because initially when I started talking about living abroad, I was just sending pictures of my buddies I deployed with, on me on a boat with pretty girls, hey, look at this. And then they were then those kind of went out. And I'm yeah, my rent's $500 a month. I live next to the beach. I can walk to the gym. I don't own a car. My life is very simple and I'm very happy. And then two of my buddies moved down here. A bunch more people started moving down here. And I was oh, maybe there's something here. Maybe I can do this. So then I go to Mexico. I met with the American Legion there, because a lot of people don't know. You have 5 American Legion posts in Mexico. You have VFWs in Thailand and the Philippines. Costa Rica has a Marine Corps Legion. They have an American Legion there. There's veteran organizations that exist all over the world. Germany, a ton of veterans live outside the bases in Germany because we're already international citizens. I mean, I know your career, you went a whole hell of a lot of places. So you're used to traveling. You know how to take care of yourself. You're good at mixing into other cultures, and veterans prioritize respect. I think it's important for me to give back to the community of the Dominican Republic here. So me and my veteran buddies that live here, we go out to dinner every week. We donate to local stuff, to children's organizations. I mean, it feels in America, to make a difference, you really have to be Bill Gates or something. But here, I can make a huge difference in people's lives, and it feels really good to be able to do that.
Yeah, man, it sounds freaking rad, dude. I really like hearing
that. You come down, I'll show you the veteran centers. You can come, you'll see the veteran centers. You're going to be oh my God, this is crazy. Because they have these veteran centers here where we have holistic events. We have yoga. We're doing a cigar tour of a factory next week. All the veterans here, we're all riding in a van down there, do a cigar tour factory. So we're a lot more focused, less on the medication aspect of it and more the life aspect of things. And when you're in an environment where the food is healthier, there's less stress, slower pace of life, it's just easier to be happy and feel good. And I think there's so many veterans in the States that are struggling, that are barely surviving. And I tell them, listen, if you come here, I'll give you a cold beer, I'll give you a beach chair, I'll show you where you can get an apartment for $600 a month. And if you want to come for a month and just decompress, because I think that's what a lot of veterans need, it's just a fucking break. A fucking break from the political division, the craziness. American cities are just fucking loony bins to me. For me, growing up in Iowa, if I go to America, like an American city, like I'm so uncomfortable if I don't have like 7 guns on me. Like I want to walk in there like strapped up. Because you walk around the streets and see homeless people naked, people stabbing each other, people shooting each other. Like I feel so much safer here in Dominican Republic than I did in American cities.
You don't feel there's any danger out there for you?
Nah, they have here in the Dominican Republic, tourism makes up like 25% of the entire country's income. So they are extremely, extremely protective of tourists. So if, for example, if a Dominican person like commits a crime against me or robs me or something like that, they're basically charged with like a hate crime and thrown away for the rest of their lives.
Oh,
because
shit.
it's going to be like, they don't fuck around with crime here. Like it's not like the United States where you could like do wild shit and you're on the streets the next day. I mean, unless you got a lot of money, then you can get out of anything, like pretty much everywhere in the world. But so here in Dominican Republic, I'll go out by myself. I'll walk around. Everyone's really nice. I live in a very safe area, and it's kind of like that in every country of the world. Like if I'm in Africa or Asia or whatever, there are obviously safe areas and unsafe areas, and I don't go to unsafe areas in the United States. Like I'm not walking around, unless I have to in certain areas. So same abroad. And here we have the tourist police, which are specific police force that only protect tourists. Like if you're Dominican, they don't really give a shit about you. They just want to protect the tourists because that's where the money comes from. And we got to live in the real world.
Yeah.
Like I'm here spending money. So they're very, like people are very friendly, very welcoming. Dominican Republic, like people really care about family, God, and community. If you see, I got the flag here behind me. It's the only country in the world with the Bible on its flag. So like God is kind of in everyday aspect of life, which, is good for me. I really kind of reconnected with religion here. I reconnected with nature. Like Americans live 90% of our time indoors, 90% of our time indoors. And that's one reason you got the, childhood depression and all that stuff. Here, my life is outside. Like I'm outside all the time. Restaurants are outside. Everything's outside.
That's cool, man.
What's going on, y'all? Thank you for joining our show. Thank you for supporting it throughout the years. Thank you for telling your friends about it. Real quick, let me get to our sponsors. Core Medical Group, you already know. Testosterone replacement therapy. If you guys are above the age of 25 and not feeling yourself, if your wife isn't feeling the same either, yeah, it's for both. You guys can go get your blood work done at Core Medical Group. There's a lot of questions about having babies. There's a protocol for that. You can still have kids while being on TRT. I got a ton of fucking kids. But you guys go check them out. I love them. I trust them. I think you guys will love them as well. Straight Razors on IG. Do you know what that is? GrimBlades.com. American made right there in Idaho. You guys should go check them out. It's a straight razor company. They make several different kinds of razors, not just straight razors, but they're known for the straight razors. I love them. The owner's an incredible person, a great American patriot, and so obviously I support them. You guys go check out Straight Razors on IG or GrimBlades.com. Scallywag Tactical, some custom knives. Several of you have bought the dagger. I love it. I think a lot of you will love it. Get it for your wives. She could take it while she's going walking with the dogs or whatever. Scallywag Tactical is an incredible company. Again, it's just another company that I support heavily. They've been good to me. I'm good to them. So you guys go check them out. Modern Gun School. You guys have your veteran benefits still. If you're a veteran, you still have them. Go use it. Modern Gun School is for you. Learn how to be an armorer at the comfort of your own home. Learn how to make, more so fix, clean, and just be an expert and armor in your own home. You can't beat that. Go check them out. Modern Gun School. Just Meats. I'm trying this carnivore thing for a little while. I've been losing a little bit of weight and it feels great. Just Meats makes it easy. You guys can get Just Meats order. I got the links in my bio. It has meat that's already pre-cooked. All you have to do is heat it up. I get a lot of them sent to me, so I go ahead and throw them in the freezer. I defrost them. Boom, there's dinner, there's lunch. You guys will love Just Meats. Go check them out. Like I said, my link is in my bio, and all the links that we have, you guys can find them. All of our sponsors. United Patriot Coins. That's a little bit of a change for us, but we committed to this company, and we love them. They've been taking care of us, and so we're going to start taking care of them. They're a very patriotic company. I love coins. I love silver. I love precious metals. So we just signed a partnership deal with them, and as well as United Patriot Supply is more than just a firearms dealer. They embody the spirit of tradition, showcasing expertise and igniting the passion amongst outdoor enthusiasts across the USA. I highly recommend this company. You guys go check them out at UnitedPatriotSupply.com. Those are our sponsors. I really appreciate you guys supporting this show, supporting everything I do. Don't forget Borderline book. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it at Barnes. Got some cool stuff coming up with Henry Rifles. I think you guys will love. Light Diffuser Treat is coming around the corner. If you guys are looking for a men's wellness group, go check them out. And Tomorrow Battalion, if you're looking for a place to donate, a nonprofit nonprofit that you can trust. Tomorrow with Talent is where it's at. We support veterans and first responders and their families. So you guys have any questions, you guys hit me up. Thank you for everything.
You ever heard of deported veterans? Like deported veterans that like who's
Yeah.
Do you guys ever deal with that there? Like do you try and
So I've been so that's one thing I've heard you talk about. Two categories of people that I think are kind of disregarded by the veteran community and America. One is deported veterans and two is incarcerated veterans. So the deported veterans, I think, is one of like the biggest crimes that against the veteran community. Like, it's insane to me that you have guys that not only joined the military but deployed and then came back, and while they're waiting on the green card they got a DUI or something. I talked to a guy in Guatemala recently, and the problem with this is there's no like central focus of an organization for these people. Like, they're, you know what I mean? Like, there's no, it's so fragmented across Latin America that you have, you know, a couple of guys in Honduras, a couple of guys here. So it's I'd like to know what you think about it, especially as someone who worked as a border patrol, you know, and all that.
I think it's the worst thing I've ever heard in my entire life. When I first heard that statistic, it broke my heart, man. I was crying. Actually, the first time I cried to my wife. Like, it hurt me to hear that someone would serve this country and go to combat, right? Serve the country in war and then come back and either by post-traumatic stress, a drinking related incident, whatever it is, get deported. Bro, nothing has hurt me in recent years than hearing that. That broke me. And it's something that I plan on digging way deeper into, especially with a new administration coming. I think I have a chance of really moving the needle because I'm loosely connected to several people that are higher up. And so I'm going to push this motherfucker hard as fuck here coming soon, bro.
Yeah, and you're cut off from your benefits. You're cut off from all that. If you get into that, I would love to raise money, do everything I can to support it, because as a veteran who chooses to live outside the United States, I'm able to do that because of my benefits. But those benefits didn't just fall into my lap. They came because of the veterans that came before me and earned them, and fought for those benefits. And to see them stripped away from veterans who, like you mentioned, hey, I got drunk, I got in a fight, I got fucking PTSD because the government sent me 3 years back to back to Iraq, and then they kicked me out of the country, and now I'm in Honduras, you know, and deportees in other countries usually not treated very well. Like, you know, if they go back there, it's harder to get jobs, harder to do stuff. We all kind of know that, especially criminal deportees. So if there's anything that you do in that, the veterans here, the veterans network around the world that I kind of like plugged into with veterans living abroad, I think that's something that I would be super, super passionate about doing, raising money or doing whatever it took to, you know, even supporting veterans while they're doing their paperwork and things like that, because that is, like you said, that's the worst fucking thing.
Yeah, that's one that bothers me. Now, definitely, man. I got to call a couple of people that you know I've fallen off on communication with, but I really want to step into that world a lot more and help. But the other one you said, it was incarcerated veterans, which is crazy to me because I didn't think about how they get forgotten too. It's tough, man. Some people are like, well, fuck them. They got in trouble. Like, no, man, I don't see the world like that, bro. I think still we should acknowledge some of these people. They might have made some of those mistakes based on post-traumatic stress. They could have made those mistakes because of a lot of different reasons, you know, and whatever it is.
When I was active duty recruiting in New York, got into a situation, got into a fight. And then I got to get picked up the next day at the police station by my first sergeant after spending a night in jail. You know, and I was drunk. I was struggling with everything. But I was like, man, I hope nobody fucking told my chain of command that I'm in jail. And I see him in uniform the next morning when I'm seeing the judge. I'm like, oh, man, this is not going to be good. And, you know, it's obviously not good for my military career.
Yeah. Oh, man, it is what it is. But, bro, I just appreciate you coming on here, man, talking about it, dude.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of veterans who are locked up right now. We tend to pay attention a lot to the suicide numbers because that grabs headlines. But there's veterans that die of drug overdoses, motorcycle crashes, drunk driving accidents, veterans that are locked up for the rest of their lives. And some states have special like veterans court where they take in consideration things like PTSD, but the majority of them unfortunately do not. And a lot of people don't understand PTSD. A lot of people in the criminal justice system don't understand PTSD. And that, you know, one thing I've always hated is people look at PTSD like a permanent diagnosis. Like it's just like it's AIDS or something. Like you have it forever. Like it's something that can never be improved upon, you know. And a lot of people, there's a lot of Americans that think it can't be. Like once you have it, you're just, you know, a ticking time bomb or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I know. It's interesting. Like I was a prison guard for 2 years, and I remember there was a dude who had a special forces tattoo. And you never know if he was real or not. You know what I mean? But I did treat that dude with a little bit more respect. You know what I mean? As in like, just like, how you doing today, brother? You good? You need another book? You know, I felt like I hoped it was real, but it could have been fake. But I still gave him the respect that I felt he deserved, in the sense of like making sure that, you know, it's like, you need a new book, whatever. These little extra things that it's not wrong to do, but more so just checking on him a little bit more. Because I just got back from Afghanistan, and I was still really, you know, gung-ho in the sense of like patriotism. Still am, but I'm saying that moment was more like, oh, dude, this guy, I don't know what his backstory is. I'm not going to ask him, but just trying to check on him a little bit. And, you know, I maybe I should start leaning more into the political side of our world and trying to help with some of these laws. I don't really know how to get into that shit, but I know that I'm starting to move the needle a little bit with my social media. So maybe I should start trying to initiate some of these things to hopefully help our veterans.
I would say from the deported veterans and the incarcerated veterans, with your background and, you know, your persona and your reach, I think those are areas where you can make a big difference, even if it's small. I mean, if you can get 5 veterans back to the United States, you know, who are deported, bro, you know, I think that would be
just give me one. If I can get one, bro, I'd be happy.
Yeah. I mean, especially the situation on the border last few years
yeah, bro, that's what I'm saying. It's my space right now that I work, you know, and so I'm going to lean into that right after this podcast. I'm going to shoot some text messages and try to lean into it, but definitely I'll keep you posted, because I think having people in some of these countries makes it a little easier for us to kind of communicate, also check on morale. You know what I mean? Just kind of shake a hand and tell them they're not forgotten, bro.
Yeah. And that's what I'm able to do is kind of, I'll go off here.
No, you're good. I'm just saying, dude, I really appreciate it, man.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate you. I was going to say, that's what I've been trying to create, is like a good supportive community of veterans abroad. So, you know, I know veterans who are kind of all over Central America and South America, because they reach out to me on social media, a lot of times saying the same stuff that I'm saying. You know, some guys like, oh, I live in Nicaragua now. I'm really, really happy. And a lot of veterans themselves are first and second generation immigrants. Like a lot of my friends here are they were born in Dominican Republic. They went to the United States. They served in the military. They finished up and they came back. You know, so this is kind of what ends up happening a lot.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, brother, man, seriously, I really appreciate your time, man. Thank you for telling your story. Send me one of your videos later so I can put it into the podcast so they can see what I saw and drew me into your social media. But we'll plug all your stuff. We'll put your website on there as well on the post. But, dude, it's really cool to see your insight and just from your experience, what you had to say. And I'm glad we knocked out this podcast, bro.
Thanks, man. I'm super happy to be on here with you.